Carolina Hurricanes trail 0-3. After last night, they didn't stay up for overtime. It was another heartbreaker. Next game, Game 4, tomorrow at 7. Don't talk about can the Hurricanes come back from 0-3. Don't talk about can the Hurricanes shock the world. Don't talk about all of the percentages on how many come back from down 0-3 and how many times it's been done. Don't do it. Smaller than that. Talk about Game 4. You've chopped your expectations all the way down. All year. For a year, it's been Stanley Cup or bust. It's been get the cup. It's been hoist the cup. It's been cup.
I mean, you were favored.
You were the betting favorite to win the Stanley Cup at the beginning of the postseason. Now, after losing 3 straight, after going down 0-3, it's about one game. It's about one game. It's about don't get swept. Right? You hate to hear it. It's about pride. Tomorrow can be a measure of Canes culture. We hear a lot about how great Canes culture is, right? And it appears great from the outside. We see it. We like it. We talk about Rod Brind'amour creating it twice, once as a player, now as a coach. We talk about Jordan Staal and Sebastian Aho being the keeper and Slavin being the keepers of the culture. We talk about Canes culture and how great it is and how at the trade deadline, when I was advocating to bring in more players at the trade deadline, there were so many people saying you don't want to upset Canes culture. You don't want to trade away guys that are part of Canes culture. You want to keep the Canes culture. Canes culture. We hear a lot about Canes culture. Well, guess what? Every single team's culture, every last one, is fantastic. It's unbelievable. Everybody loves it. Everybody works hard when you're winning. I mean, you hear the worst teams, if they go on a hot streak, it's all about, our culture, everybody's all in, everybody's making the change. As soon as they start losing, it's not my fault, it's that guy's fault.
Yeah.
It's easy to have a great culture when things are going well, and things have been going well for the Canes a lot lately. How do you show up when everything seems to be going against you is the best measure of culture. How do you show up when you're down 0-3? And even if you win Game 4, the cards are still stacked against you to make it out of the round. That's what tomorrow is about. All year, it was about big and lofty goals. All year, it was about can you win the cup. All year, it was about this is just one small step on a journey of 1,000 miles. All year, it was let's go get something gigantic. Tomorrow, it's not that. Tomorrow, it's not, can we pull off the impossible? Tomorrow is, can you win one game? Can you score one power play goal? Can you be the more aggressive team for an entire 60 minutes one time in the series? Can you play a full 60 minutes one time in the series? Can you take a 1-goal lead and make it a 2-goal lead one time in the series? Have some pride. Vincent Trocheck is talking trash, right? He's making the little one-timer, little touch pass, and then he's standing up and he's getting in Sebastian Aho's face after the goal is scored. Do you want to shut him up or not?
He's also stirring the pot out there on the ice.
Exactly. I mean, they're the entire Rangers team. Do you want to shut them up or not? Even just for one game, for one more time on your home ice. That's what we're looking at, right? How do you want to go about it? How do you want to be remembered? It was described this way in The Office to me. I think it's a good way to put it. Do you want to make the handshake line meaningful?
Yes.
Right after this series, whether you pull off the impossible or not, you're going to have the handshake line.
Going to have to face your demons.
Do you want it to be one where they're looking at you going, respect, or do you want it one where they're looking at you going, we just smoked you? Do you want them to be smirking or legitimately patting you on the back and saying, y'all gave it everything you had? There are no moral winners. I don't believe in moral winners. I don't believe moral victories, right? You win or you lose. That's why they keep score. So I'm not saying there's any way that, outside of winning 4 straight, that you can walk out of this series with some kind of winner. But you can walk out of this series with your head held high, and the only way that happens is if Game 4 is something special. Be more physical. Get more shots on net. Shut up a couple of the Rangers. I'm not talking about just go out there and drop your gloves and do something stupid, but shut them up. Sometimes it really does come down to that. There's, sports are stupid like this. I want to make sure everybody understands that I understand the gravity here, that I'm comparing like Niagara Falls to the puddle that forms at the bottom of my driveway. I want that to be clear here. But my last high school football game, I shattered my hand, right? Broke it, ended up having my 2 middle fingers were shorter than they like an inch shorter than they should be because they had driven into my hand. It was gross. It was bad. But I was the quarterback, and I got hurt early in the game. And in the entire time, me and a couple of my really good buddies were on varsity. We had never been shut out. And once I got hurt, we were getting smoked. We were losing by like 30 or 40 points. And I remember one of our fullbacks basically told the coach, I'm going my entire career without getting shut out. Give me the ball every time. And it was pointless in the scheme of things.
Yeah.
We were not going to win the game. There was a 0% chance we were going to win the game. This dude was out there smashing skulls and had one drive, and I think we ended up losing like 40-6 because we didn't even make the extra point, but we did not get shut out. And it was just about that. It was just about not getting shut out because you gotta cling to some kind of pride. Don't get swept out of the postseason in back-to-back years. I don't care what round it is. Don't get swept in 8 straight close games that you feel like you should have won in those 2 series. You've lost 7 straight close games in the postseason to teams that aren't the Islanders. End the streak. And I don't, what? Part of me wants to say I don't care who's in goal. We'll see who's in goal, whether they go back to Freddie or whether they think Kochetkov played well enough to get the nod in net once again.
For what it's worth, Freddie was in the starting crease today during practice.
So there you go. Looks like they're going back to Freddie. Pyotr Kochetkov played about as well as you could expect him to play in Game 3.
Yes.
I was impressed with Pyotr Kochetkov. And I think he kind of did what his what the intention was of putting him in there. Obviously gave Freddie a little bit of a break. That was part of it. But also he gave the Canes a spark. He was tested a bunch in big moments, but that's not even the spark I'm talking about. The spark he provided was in how the team reacted to him. Right? Early on, a few times, Rangers were testing him as they should and trying to get into his head as they should. When you have a goalie that hasn't played in a month and he's starting in a must-win postseason game, you're darn right the other team's going to test you both physically and mentally. So they were bumping into him, right? They were maybe not stopping as aggressively as they should. They were not obeying the whistle as by the book as they should. And as soon as someone touched him, the cavalry came calling.
Yeah, that all-out scrum broke out between Kokoniemi and I can't remember who it was of the Rangers.
Kokoniemi was chasing him like I don't even know, like Rocky Balboa chases chickens. Yeah. He was like, get off me! I gotta go take care of this. And there was even one before that where I forget who it was, but somebody immediately came to the defense of Kochetkov, and I thought it was like the most edge they've shown in the series.
No, I agree.
It was the most sandpaper they've shown in the series. Protecting him early on showed something the Canes hadn't been bringing to the table up to that point in the series. So I think Kochetkov did his job. And then on top of that, just by the nature of the game he plays, he takes a couple chances, a couple risky moves that can ignite a team also. Is his name Kochetkov or Pokechetkov? He likes to poke check. He likes to get out there. He likes to be aggressive. He pulled it off a few times. He was tested. He had a couple one-on-ones. Made some plays against some of the best players in the league. How can that not ignite your team in a way that you hadn't been ignited before? I'm not saying he was perfect. Heck, if I said anyone on the Canes was perfect last night, then you have every right to demand a random drug test. Nobody was perfect. He looked a little skittish at times. I'm talking about Piotr, especially in locating the puck a few times where it's like he just lost control of it for a second. And if the Rangers maybe had been pushing to the front of the net a little bit better at that point in time, could have been something bad. But what do you expect from him after a month off? He's not going to be as super sharp as possible because he's been a month off. Hadn't seen live NHL in-game shots in a month, let alone postseason shots from the President's Trophy team. Pyotr Kochetkov did his job. And he's actually, I would say this, he's one of the only guys who I feel comfortable, and I'm a big fan of Pyotr Kochetkov, so maybe this is my bias showing. I'm comfortable saying he did his job and making another play would have been a tall ask, simply because of how impossible the situation that he was put into was.
And the 2 goals that were scored on him. You had one that was the breakaway, and then the other one with Panarin, who just pulled a rabbit out of his hat by putting his stick in between his legs for the deflection. I mean, you can't beat that.
Yeah, there's a little tipping of the cap that needs to happen and just say, good one. You wish it didn't happen in that situation, but good one. I mean, it truly is this. The Canes had a lot of pretty solid individual performances. And then they had some guys that left some things to be desired. I know Burns didn't have his best game. You brought up Kotkaniemi. He hasn't had his best game. It felt like Martin Necas was buzzing all series, but the other guys on his line weren't really able to take advantage of it. There was just Martinuk. They slowed it down on the broadcast. Right, cuts to the middle and has maybe a shot and they aren't able to find him. And so many little things add up to not winning the game. As I brought up, Pyotr Kochetkov played well individually. He probably made a couple little things that may have led to a different outcome if he did them differently. I don't know if it's fair to nitpick him based on the situation he was put in, but everyone on the team had those moments. There was a moment I thought Jordan Staal was going to score. He wasn't able to put it in the back. There were moments where I thought Aho was going to score. He wasn't able to do it. And I think I saw that there are 12 guys that have 77 shots and no goals combined.
Yeah, something like that. It just turns into a domino effect. It feels like every single game. Once one guy's not able to get going, it just kind of trickles down to another player on the next line.
I think the big domino that fell was the shorthanded goal.
Yeah.
Before that, it felt like their special teams were getting back to normal. Their PK was playing all right. They were buzzing a little bit. The shorthanded goal and everybody just went, wah, wah, wah.
Well, that whole second period, and that's what I asked Rod last night, what was it just felt like in the second period when they came back out, it just looked totally different than the first period as far as mishandling the puck, losing the 50-50 battles, turnovers.
Little things.
Yeah.
Little things. They all add up to big things.